الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي الصلاة والسلام عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله صلى الله تعالى عليك وسلم. We are now in the 5th year after the hijrah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Yani hijrat ke baad 5 saal, and this is the 5th year that we are currently in. In this year, numerous expeditions, ghazawat, they took place. And I'm going to mention some of the main ones from which we can take lesson and from which we can derive some benefit in order to implement in our lives, insha'Allah ta'ala. The first one which took place when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he set off on the 10th of Muharram, is called Ghazwa of Dhatul Riqa. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went with 400 companions, and they were so, the companions, they had such little material wealth that 6 companions would share 1 camel. 6 sahabi ek oont ko isteemaal kiya karte the, and they would take turns to ride upon this camel. And because the terrain was very difficult, they would tie cloth on their feet, yani paon par kapra bandte, because when they were walking on the ground, they never had shoes and so on and so forth, so their feet would become blistered and they would tear and like this. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went in order to dispel some people who were planning an attack. Yani unki niyat thi ke wo Madinat al-Munawwara par hamla kare. So he went and he dispersed them. Lekin ye ghazwa kyun important hai? Because it was the first time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed Salatul Khawf, the prayer of fear. यानी जब मुसलमान जिहाद कर रहे हैं तो आप सोचेंगे तो नमाज तो माफ़ होगी, नमाज is forgiven, लेकिन ये ऐसा नहीं है. Even whilst the Muslims were doing jihad and the enemies would be in front, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would stand. The army would be split into 2 parts. 2 parts would be split. 1 part would go and fight, and 1 part would pray behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. जब इन्होंने अगर 2 रकात थी तो 1 रकात अदा की, अगर 4 रकात थी तो 2 रकात अदा की, then they would go forward, वो आगे जाते और वो दूसरे पीछे आते, and they would pray. Then they would go forward and the other ones would come back, and like this they would complete their namaz. तो इससे क्या मालूम होता है? Number 1, the importance of namaz. Number 2, the importance of jamaat. क्योंकि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम कह सकते हैं ना कि आप लोग जो है जिहाद कर रहे हैं, अकेले पढ़ ले नमाज, it's okay. But no, even in front of the enemies, yahan tak ke, when it was very difficult, the Sahaba would hold their swords and pray namaz. Yani jo hatyar the, wo haath mein rakh ke wo namaz para karti thi. The next one was Dumatul Jandal. And this one is important because it was very far from Madinatul Munawwara. 350 miles. And from this ghazwa we learned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had no fear of the Romans, of the Byzantines. क्योंकि ये बिल्कुल जो रूम था उसके बिल्कुल करीब रसूल सल्लल्लाहु वहाँ गए in order to remove a threat. Again, these people, they were looking at attacking the Muslims. Rasulullah sallallahu, he took a very interesting way, and when he got there, the people, they got scared and they ran away. वो भाग गए और जो माल गनीमत थी उसको जमा किया, कुछ लोगों के साथ इस्लाम के बारे में बात की और उन्होंने इस्लाम कबूल किया. And whilst Rasulullah was returning, he made peace treaties with various people. But one of the major battles which took place in the 5th year, or in whichever Seerat book you open, you will find this inside, is Ghazwa of Banu Mustaliq. And even though not a lot of things happened in the fighting, but what happened during the travel, some major incidents happened which we need to discuss, which are very important. This ghazwa is known by 2 names. One is called Ghazwa Banu Mustaliq because of the tribe which the Muslims fought against, and sometimes it's called Ghazwa Muraisi because the place where the Muslims went, there was a well in that area. एक कुआं था जिसका नाम था मुरैसी, और फिर उस जगह का नाम उन्होंने रखा मुरैसी. It was 8 days away from Madinatul Munawwara. And the leader of the tribe, his name was Harith ibn Abi Dirar. He was gathering the जो कबाइल थे उनको जमा कर रहा था ताकि वो मदीनतुल मुनव्वरा पर हमला करे. तो रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने एक सहाबी को भेजा. He sent him. And this sahabi, he was able to convince them. He started speaking to them, started talking to them. और उन्होंने जो सारा प्लान था सब कुछ उनको बता दिया. वो सहाबी वापस मदीनतुल मुनव्वरा आए, रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को बताया. And the Prophet सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, he gathered the companions. And now up until now जो मुनाफिकीन थे वो जिहाद के लिए नहीं आते, वो कुछ बहाना बनाते, they would make an excuse. लेकिन उनको मालूम था कि number one, जहाँ हमको जाना है वो बिल्कुल करीब है, is not too far. And number two, इस ग़ज़वे में बहुत माली गनीमत मिलेगी. We're going to get loads of camels and sheep and horses. तो उन्होंने क्या प्लान बनाया? हम भी साथ में चलते हैं. We will come as well this time. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he set off on the 2nd of Sha'aban, and as they were traveling, they came across a person. एक शख्स आया और रसूल पाक sallallahu alayhi wa sallam की दरबार में वो हाजिर हुआ. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked him, which tribe are you from? He explained. कहा कि क्या मकसद है? He said, I only have one intention, या Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. कहा कौन सा है? कहा मुझको इस्लाम कबूल करना है. I want to accept Islam. So Rasulullah sallallahu was very happy. Usko kalima paraya. And when he accepted Islam, this person asked a very interesting question. Usne kya pucha? Kaha ke wo kaun sa amal hai? What is the action which brings the greatest pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The greatest happiness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? He said, as-salatu ala waqtiha. Namaz which is prayed on time. Yani, yesterday we heard Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal said, the action which brings you close to Allah is recitation of the Quran, reciting the Quran, doing tilawat of the Quran. And the action which brings the most pleasure to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is praying namaz on its time. Bihamdihi ta'ala, in this month, we've all been praying on namazes. But what's really important, that after Ramadan, we need to be consistent upon our namaz. It's very, very important that we pray our namaz regularly and on time. There's so much fa'idah, there's so much barakah, there's so much blessings in this. That's why you'll hear, the ulama, they're always talking about namaz. Har gadi, har waqt, jo bhi ho, namaz, namaz, namaz. Because why? We have i'timad, we have trust in namaz. And why do we have so much trust in namaz? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran Pak mein wa'da kiya hai. He has promised. The one who prays namaz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect him from fahsh and munkar, shameful acts and evil actions, insha'Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. So for this reason, this is why we emphasize namaz so much. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, throughout his entire life, he would emphasize the importance of namaz. Even whilst the Muslims were performing jihad, he would lead them in namaz. And time again, he would say to them the importance of namaz, the importance of namaz. As they were going, they caught one of the kuffar. He was spying on the Muslims. तो उसको कैद किया. They asked him, लेकिन उसने कुछ नहीं बताया. He wasn't explaining anything, and he did not accept Islam. And so this is what happened. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने खुद एक शख्स को भेजा कि मालूम करो कि situation क्या है. When he came back, बताया या Rasulullah, they have a huge army. बहुत लोग हैं. There is a lot of people. This person, Harith bin Abi Dirar, he's gathered all of the qaba'il together, all of the tribes together. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we march onwards. Onwards we go. And so the companions, they move forward. लेकिन जब वो बिल्कुल नज़दीक आ गए, तो Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam की जो मुअजिज़ा है, that Allah places fear into the hearts of the people. Many of them, they ran away as soon as the Muslims came. Musulman आ गए. As soon as they came, they saw the Muslims coming. Many of them, they dispersed from that area. Lekin Harith bin Abi Dirar, he did not leave. He was from Banu Mustaliq. He gathered his tribe together and he prepared for an attack. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne Sayyidina Umar ko bheja, kaha ki unko Islam ki da'wat do. Say there's no need to fight. There's no need for this. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala, and he shouted and the voice echoed through the valleys. And he said, say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. उन लोगों ने क्या किया? What did they do? They started firing arrows back at the Muslims. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he prepared his army, and as one front they attacked in one go. And the kuffar, later some of these people, they would accept Islam. वो क्या बताते हैं? They say that when we looked, it looked like there was an ocean of people in front of us. Yani sahaba to kam the, there was only a few of them, but this was a mu'jiza, this was a miracle. They say it looked like the Muslims, they were covering the mountains. This is how many it seemed. It seemed like there was an ocean of people coming towards us. Or Musliman kehte hai, what did we see in front of us? It looked like there was 5-10 people. There was just a few people in front of us. Aisa humko mehsoos hua. So the Muslims, they mounted an attack. 10 people from the kuffar, they were killed. And only one Muslim was martyred. And he was martyred by mistake. Yani galti se, uska jo hai, wo shaheed ho gaya. Somebody, he hit him by mistake. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he fixed the blood money and he gave it to the brother. Lekin unfortunately, that brother, he was not a good person. He took the blood money, lekin jo wo ansari sahabi the, jisne yani sahwan, by mistake, qatl kar diya, shaheed kar diya, he killed him as well. Or phir wo Makkatul Mukarramah bhaga, or usne, he became an apostate. He left from Islam. Later on, he would be executed for this action. Now, what happened when the Muslims, they mounted their attack? 700 people, they were imprisoned. The Muslims, they didn't want to kill people. They didn't want, this wasn't their objective. So they captured those people, and 2,000 camels they captured, and 5,000 or so sheep they captured. So it was a lot of wealth that the Muslims gathered in this battle, right? And then it was going to be distributed amongst the people. The daughter of the leader, Harith bin Abi Dirar, her name was Barra. Later, her name would be changed to Juwayriyah. She was given to Thabit bin Qais. And because she was the daughter of the leader, usne kaha ke agar if you want to be free, then the price is 400 dirhams. It was quite high. Because she was the daughter of the leader, or usne socha ke she will have the money, she will give the money. To Juwayriyah, she went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or bataya, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the price that Thabit bin Qais has fixed, it is very high. Or मैं उसको अदा नहीं कर सकती हूँ. I can't give this money. It's too much for me. तो Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने फरमाया, क्या मैं तुझको ऐसा न बताऊँ? Should I not tell you something which is better than this? You are the daughter of the leader, and if you wish, I will pay for your freedom, and I will bring you into my nikah. So Sayyidah Juwayriyah radiallahu ta'ala, and she had had a dream 3 days before. Usne ek khwab dekha tha. And what did she see in her dream? That the moon was coming from Madinatul Munawwara, and from Madinatul Munawwara it came to her. So now she realized that this was that very dream, the interpretation of that dream. She accepted Islam, she accepted the proposal of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jab Thabit bin Qais radiallahu ta'ala anhu ko malum hua ki Rasulullah wanted to marry, then he said, Ya Rasulullah, there's no charge, there's no cost, I will free her, free of charge. Like Rasulullah said, no. Whatever the price is, I will give the price. He gave the 400 dirhams to his companion. And he brought Sayyidah Juwayriyah radiallahu ta'ala anha into his nikah. Now look at the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He knew exactly. When he brought her into his nikah, Sahaba ne kaha, okay, this is the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Aur unki jo family hai, they are prisoners. We have got them as war captives. So as soon as they found out 600 people, immediately they freed them. 600 आदमी को उनको आज़ाद कर दिया straight away with no cost, nothing like this. Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, later she would say, I did not see any woman who benefited her kabila, her tribe more than Sayyidah Juwayriyah radiallahu ta'ala anha benefited her people. Because of her, over 100 families they were freed. And not only this, she was blessed by becoming Ummul Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, by becoming the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the incidents which I'm coming to, this is what happened. When the Muslims were returning, I mentioned to you the place was called Muraisi. Why? Because of our well. So ek muhajir sahabi whose name was Sayyidina Jahja, and one of the Ansari sahabis whose name was Sayyidina Sinan. Both of them, dono ne dol dali into the well, and their ropes became tied up. And as they were pulling, and You can imagine what happened. So Sayyidina Jahja, he got angry and he struck Sayyidina Sinan. So when Sayyidina Sinan saw this, he called the Ansar, Ya lil Ansar, and he called all of the Ansar together. And when Sayyidina Jahja, he saw this, he called the Muhajirun, Ya lil Muhajir, and they came. And the situation started getting heated, right? And people even took their swords out. So itne mein, they called Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne kya kaha? Aapko malum hai what he said? He said, these are the calls of jahalat. जो आपने निदा दी ये जाहिलियत है. In Islam there's no nationalism. In Islam your servitude is to Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah made you into qaba'il, into tribes, so you can recognize each other. Ta'aruf ke liye, not so you can fight with one another. This is not what you are meant to do. तो जब ये सब कुछ समझाया कि this is not how you should be behaving, that you bring your tribe and you fight against another tribe and this. So then the situation, it was, when he was amongst his people, he said, मैंने आपको बताया था, I said to you guys, look at the muhajirin, वो हमारे शहर में आए, हमने उनको खिलाया, हमने उनको पिलाया, we gave them a place to stay, we gave them money, we gave them this, we gave them that, we did all of these things for them. और अब देखो क्या करते हैं. Look how big-headed they've become. They think they can do this and they think they can do whatever they want. And he began to insult the muhajirun and he began to insult Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ऐसा करना लगा. Now one of the companions, Zayd bin Arqam, he was young, वो बिल्कुल छोटा था. He was sat और सब कुछ सुन रहा था. He was listening to everything. And he used to respect Abdullah ibn Ubay. He used to have a love and respect for him. लेकिन जब उसने सुना तो वो दौड़ते हुए गया. He went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam और सब कुछ बता दिया. Now think about this. If we were in the position of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, हम क्या करते? Think about this. He's saying all of these things about his companions. He's saying stuff about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. लेकिन Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने क्या कहा? कहा कि शायद तूने गलत सुना. Maybe you heard incorrectly. Maybe you were sitting far away and he was talking about somebody else and you heard. So I said, Ya Rasulullah, I promise this is why. He said, no, maybe you were angry at him. Gussa tha, isliye maybe you heard something slightly incorrect. So Sayyidina Zayd bin Arqam ne farmaya, Ya Rasulullah, I respect Abdullah bin Ubay the most from the Khazraj. I respect him. Lekin I promise you, this is what he was saying. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he became upset when he heard this. Now the companions, when they realized what was happening, they went to Abdullah bin Ubay and they said, is this what you have been saying? So usne kya kaha? He went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam और उसने झूठी कसम उठाई. He took a false oath on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. झूठी कसम उठाई. कहा, Ya Rasulullah, मैंने ऐसा कुछ नहीं कहा. I did not say anything like this. Now Sayyidina Zayd bin Arqam, he was sad. लेकिन कहा कि Ya Rasulullah, मुझको मालूम है कि Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala वही नाजिल करेगा and he will exonerate me. So he was watching the whole time, he's looking at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he knew, sahaba ko मालूम था कि वही की कौन सी निशानी है, when is revelation coming. And as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was riding on his camel, he saw that the camel was almost going to collapse. And he realized this is wahi. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Sayyidina Zayd bin Arqam and he grabbed him from his ears like this. And he said, O Zayd, waqi jo tune kaha wo bilkul sahi tha. You said exactly right. This is what you said. Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala an wo aaye. कहा या रसूलुल्लाह मुझको इजाज़त दो. कहा what do you want permission for? कहा I want to take the head of Abdullah bin Ubay off his shoulders. कहा वाकई तो ऐसा करेगा? कहा है I take कसम on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. या रसूलुल्लाह आप सिर्फ मुझको इजाज़त दो. Give me permission, I will strike off his head. तो रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने क्या फरमाया? कहा कि ए उमर, अगर तूने ऐसा किया तो लोग क्या कहेंगे? कहेंगे कि मोहम्मद वो है जो उनके साथी है, कंपेनियंस है, सहाबा है, उनको कत्ल करता है. क्योंकि ये लोग जो है वो मुनाफिकीन थे. वो ज़ाहिरी तौर पर यानी they used to act like Muslims. वो नमाज भी पढ़ते थे. They used to pray namaz behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is what they used to do. They used to act like this, like they were all innocent. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew, but he had wisdom. He was waiting for the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. तो सैयदना उमर ने कहा या रसूलल्लाह अगर इसकी इजाज़त नहीं है तो हमको यानी मदीनतुल मुनव्वरा वापस जाना चाहिए. We should go quickly. Now this was the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He got on the camel and he started riding quickly. So no one has a chance to talk. यानी इतने थके हुए हैं कि मौका ही नहीं मिलेगा उनको to talk about all of these things. and so that this could not get into a worse situation. So the companions, they would ride, and then whenever they get a chance, they'd be so tired they would go to sleep. But on one occasion, what happened, Rasulullah wanted to energize the companions, the army. So he set up a race so they could race their camels and they could race their horses. And like this, they were doing this. And in the meantime, one of the camels of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which name was Qaswa, very famous camel of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This camel, it disappeared. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this was all of the intention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show what the situation was. So when this camel disappeared, the munafiqeen phir se chalu kar diya. Again they started. Kaha ke Muhammad दावा करता है कि आसमान से खबर आती है, लेकिन जो ऊंट है उनके बारे में भी मालूम नहीं है. He doesn't even know where his camel is. And he started saying this. Lekin this time they made a mistake, because this time they said it in front of the companions. So jab Sayyidina Usayd bin Hudayr radiyallahu ta'ala anni suna, he took his spear into his hand and he goes, what are you saying? You have the audacity to speak like this. If Rasulullah gives me the permission, I will come and I'm going to strike your head off. How dare you speak about Rasulullah like this? And like this, the Ansar, they started getting angry. The person who was saying this, his name was Zayd ibn al-Sayd. Now he got just frightened. Wo dar gaya, ab kya karu? What should I do? To karte hai tere guna, mangi tum hi se bana, tum kaho daman mein aa, tum pe karo ro durud. When he realized that these people were going to kill him, where did he go? The only place he could go, he went running to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yani he was insulting and swearing at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but when he realized he was going to be killed, he went back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Itme Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, he came with wahi. Rasulullah kept him to his side. He didn't let him say anything. Abhi usne kuch kaha bhi nahi hai. Rasulullah, he addressed his companions, khitab kiya. Kaha ke Sayyidina Jibreel has just come to me. कहा कि कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं जो कह रहे हैं कि मैं दावा करता हूँ कि मुझको आसमान से खबर मिलती है, लेकिन मेरी जो ऊँटनी है उसके बारे में भी इल्म नहीं है. लेकिन Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me where my camel is. It is in this valley. Its reins are stuck on this tree. Go to this place. This is where you will find it. तो वो sahaba वो गए. They went running. They went to the valley. They went to the tree. What did they see? The camel was tied up exactly how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. अब ये जो था Zayd ibn al-Sayd, उसने कहा कि क्या तुम लोगों ने इससे किसी ने Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam को बताया? कहा we have not said anything. कहा मैंने भी कुछ नहीं बताया. कहा कि वाकई this must be that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam must be getting revelation. Up until today, I was lying about being a Muslim, but today I say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was the wisdom of Rasulullah, because he knew कि मुनाफिकीन में से जो लोग हैं, many of them, they're going to come back. So he was giving them time. And Abdullah bin Ubay, the reason I mentioned he had adawat with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because his tribe, they were going to make him a king. वो बादशाह बनाने वाले थे. यहाँ तक कि in the books it mentions they had prepared his crown. They had even placed the jewels on his crown. There was one jewel which was remaining, which was belonging to one of the Yahud, one of the Jews, but he was asking for a very high price, so they couldn't place that last one onto his crown. They even prepared his robe filled with pearls. They were just waiting to place that last jewel on his crown, and he was going to be crowned the king. But then Rasulullah came into Madinatul Munawwara. Now, if he had accepted Rasulullah as his true leader, and if he was a true Muslim, then today how we remember Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar and Sayyidina Uthman and Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina Sa'd bin Ubadah and Sayyidina Sa'd bin Mu'az and Sayyidina Usayd bin Hudayr and Sayyidina Talha, today we would be remembering him as well. Allah would have given him success in this life and in the akhirah. Allah would have given him leadership in this life as well. Allah would have given him everything. But what did he choose? He chose the path of hypocrisy, of adawa with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And because of this, when the Muslims, they were coming back from this place, then what happened? Us zamane mein, there used to be this thing called a hawdaj. It's like a tent, and they used to place it on the camel. Right? So jo aurate thi, it was like this, made out of cloth. So Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa, she was with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She was sitting inside that parda, and people, when they would come to a rest, they would take it off, and when they needed to go, they would put it back on. But she was very light, तो उनको महसूस भी नहीं होता था, is she inside, is she not inside? So what happened one day, they were going quickly, remember. So Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala, and she needed to answer the call of nature, so she went. Or itne mein, the necklace, the jewelry which belonged to her sister, she lost this necklace. So she went outside to look for it. And while she was looking for it, these people, they placed that hawdaj back on and they went from that place. वहाँ से चले गए. Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa जब वापस आई तो क्या देखती है कि ये लोग, they have gone. तो अब क्या करे, उस ज़माने में औरत को अकेला यानी by herself सफ़र करना, ये it was very dangerous, खतरनाक था. So she thought when they stop next, they'll realize I'm not there and they will come back, वो वापस आ जाएंगे. So what she did, she wrapped herself in a blanket and she went to sleep. अब उस ज़माने में क्या होता था, you know, because sometimes people would drop stuff behind in it, would short it, people might leave something, a horse, a camel, whatever. So what they would do is one person would stay right at the back. And if there was anything which was dropped, they would pick it up and they would give it to the person. So who was the responsibility? It was Sayyidina Safwan ibn Mu'attal radiyallahu ta'ala. And uski ye responsibility thi. So he was going and he was coming slowly, और वो क्या देखता है? He sees Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala. He says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What's happened? What's the situation? Right? So at that point, he says to her, you sit on my camel and I will take you back. So he made her sit on the camel and he took him back to where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was. Ab munafiqeen ne kya kiya? What did the hypocrites say? Ma'azallah, astaghfirullah. They slandered our mother, Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu ta'ala. And they began to say, Ma'azallah, that she had committed haram and she had did haram and so on and so forth like this. And they started spreading this rumor throughout all of the people. Now, jo Musliman the, unhone qabul nahi kiya. One or two companions, they fell into this trap. But the majority of the Muslims, they did not accept this, they did not believe in this. Lekin Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he waited. Because if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne khud kaha, okay, no, she's innocent, people will say, she's your wife, isliye aapne aisa kaha, so on and so forth. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he began to assess the people. He began to ask the people, what's your thoughts? Aap kya rai hai? What's your position? He wanted to see the iman of the believers. So one by one, he started speaking to the people. And he said to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, and he said to Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and he said to Sayyidina Uthman, what is your position? To Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, anne kya kaha? Kaha, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not even let a fly sit on your body. Because the fly sits on impurity, and then from that impurity they could come and sit on you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you so much, Ya Rasulullah, He does not even let flies sit on your body. Why would He allow you to marry a woman who is impure and unjust? Then they asked Sayyidina Uthman, Rasulullah said, Uthman, what's your opinion? Kaha, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not even let you have a shadow. Aapka saya bhi nahi hai. Taaki koi galti se kadam na rakhte. That they don't place their foot on your shadow and by mistake they disrespect you. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this much love for you, why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put you in a position where your wife would commit such an action and people would disrespect you like this? Phir Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala se pucha. Sayyidina Ali said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, once there was a little bit of najasa on your shoe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam from Sidratul Muntaha just to tell you there was a little bit of impurity on your shoe. Yani Allah ko gawara nahi hua. Allah did not want that there should be even the smallest amount of impurity on your clothing. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow someone who is impure to be in your household? And like this, they all began to defend Sayyidina Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala. And the women, they came forward and they spoke about her chastity and her purity. Rasulullah was assessing the situation. He wanted to see what the companions were saying. Where is the level of their iman? Do they fall into this trap? And one by one, they were all defending our mother, Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha. Now when Sayyidah Aisha had come back from this journey, she had fallen very, very unwell. She was very, very sick. So she didn't even know what was happening. She was in her bed and 20 days she was unwell. After some time she found out and she was really, really upset. You can imagine this kind of slander. And this is the problem. Us guys, what we do, we sit in our little groups, we start talking about people, and before we know it, we're talking about someone and we start slandering them. We start saying stuff about them. And we don't even know, is this true or false? Right? And this was all a lesson for us. That, this is how our mother Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa, she was slandered like this. So then Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala an, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to her and she said that, Ya Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that I am innocent. And these people, they know that they are lying. My position is what? My position is like Sayyidina Yaqub alayhi salam with his son Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. What? فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. Sabr is the best. وَاللَّهُ مُسْتُعَانْ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. And I seek help in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the matters which these people are saying. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had not moved from that place when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed 10 verses in the Quran. Not one or two. 10 verses in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed defending our mother Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha. Yani, kuch log they say, who is superior, Sayyidah Maryam, the mother of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, or is Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa superior? Kaun afzal hai? क्योंकि सैयदा मरियम अलैहि सलाम पर भी तोहमत उन्होंने लगाया ना, कहा where did you get this child from, you're not married, आपकी तो शादी भी नहीं हुई है. तो क्या हुआ? Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, when he was still a baby, when he was still a child, whilst he was in his cradle, he spoke and he said, my mother is innocent. Do not make these accusations against my mother. But they say, who is superior, Sayyidah Maryam or Sayyidah Aisha? When it came to Sayyidah Maryam, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, he defended her. But when it came to Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself defended her. He revealed verses in the Quran, and those who are specialized in fiqh, they say, jo faqih hai, they say, now because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has defended Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa, and she said, and he has said that she is pure, she is innocent, if someone even has a doubt, agar shak bhi hoga, wo kafir ho jayega. He will become a kafir. Because the innocence of Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, it is proven in the Quran Kareem. In the Quran Kareem. Now Abdullah bin Ubay, he was a munafiq, lekin uska jo beta tha, his son, he was a true lover of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When he had heard that Abdullah bin Ubay had said certain things against Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he said, Ya Rasulullah, give me ijazah, I will strike off the head of my father. Lekin Rasulullah said, no, he is your father and I will not let you do this. When he was coming back into Madinah to Munawwara, Abdullah bin Ubay, his son, his name was Abdullah as well. He was very respectful to his father. Lekin this time he had gone too far. He grabbed the reins of the camel of his father and he made the camel sit down and he placed his foot on top. And then he said, you are not going into Madinah to Munawwara. Until Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam does not give you ijazah, I am not going to let you go into Medina. And I will not let you go into Medina to Munawwara until you say that I am the worst person on the face of this earth and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best person. And he did not let him go. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard he was coming, and what is his father saying? The munafiq, the leader of the munafiqs, what is he saying? He's saying, I am the worst person on the face of this earth. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best person on the face of this earth. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Choro, let him go. And then he let him go into Madinah Munawwara. Now lastly, akhir baat, you know Sayyidina Harith bin Abi Dirar, his daughter Sayyidah Juwayriya, she was married to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He came with loads of camels to Madinah Munawwara in order to free ताकि वो आज़ाद करे. लेकिन जब वो आ रहा था ना, तो यानी ये सोच उसके जहन में आया, I've got all of these camels, अगर मैं वापस जाऊंगा I will have nothing. So he hid 2 camels in the valley of Aqiq और सोचा कि मैं जब वापस आऊंगा तो I will take them inshallah. Then he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, I have come to free my daughter. And I have brought all of these camels in order to free my daughter. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ne पूछा, what about them 2 camels which you hid in the valley of Aqiq? So उसने कहा कि he was shocked, like he couldn't even understand. No one knew, only he knew this. As soon as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this, and he saw that look how he was honoring his daughter, that he had made his wife and he had raised at such a high station, then Harith bin Abi Dirar, he accepted Islam. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa annaka Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And like this, he accepted Islam. This was all from the wisdom of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So during this journey of the seerah, we have learned many lessons, and we've learned numerous lessons. But if there's one thing that I really want you to take away, the main thing is the importance of namaz. After Ramadan, we should not abandon our namaz. We need to be strict. We need to be firm upon our namaz until next Ramadan comes, inshaAllah tabarak wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to do so. We make dua to Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. That which we have said in these lectures, if there has been any mistake, Ya Allah, you are Rahman and Rahim, the most merciful. Forgive us for any mistake. Ya Allah, accept these lectures. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. Those brothers who have been listening, Ya Allah, forgive them for all of their major and minor sins. Ya Allah, give them success in this life and give them success in the hereafter. Ya Allah, give us all the ability to act upon the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Give us the ability to follow in the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, those lessons which we have learned from the life of Rasulullah, give us the ability to act upon those lessons. Forgive us all for our major and minor sins. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.